You got it? Because the other one, he said, in my father's hospital, everybody can come, anything can be placed, you know. Then the second one talked about the okay. So still second job. There was a guy who this is my Dharma teaching, don't laugh. There was a guy from villager who came to Mumbai for the first time. Villager, they had never seen this multi-story building. He was completely shocked to see this multi-story building. So he was counting the floors. First floor, third floor, like this. Then a cheater, you know, in big cities you have cheaters. A cheater saw this villager. Then this is what story you're counting? It's a third story. Give me 3 rupees. So he gave 3 rupees. Then the cheater cheated the villager and he left, you know. After the cheater left, what did the villager say, you know? He said, I've cheated him. I was actually counting the 5th floor. Who is cheated? Who is cheated? Huh? The villager, of course. But the villager thought he has cheated him. Stupid jokes. Ready? Almost done. For those online, they could not hear these jokes. So unfortunate. I was talking about the importance of taking refuge, you know. So the reason okay.
Yes, the audio, but the video is not working. People are just hearing and not seeing.
Camera is not working.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Oh, maybe they want to see. It's here.
I'm going to use this camera.
This camera is
Yes,
okay.
yes, okay.
Yeah. This is samsara. Entangled. Yeah, so we have this human nature of, you know, seeking the protection and taking refuge in someone higher or more powerful who can give us refuge, who can help us, who can protect us. So here in this case, as I was saying, that the reason when we talk about taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we need to, number one, know why we should take refuge. What is my problem? What is my fear? You have to have a very good understanding of that. Then second, even if you know that you have a fear, you have a problem, how do you think these 3 guys, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, can give you the protection? Who are they? Who is Buddha? What is Dharma? What is Sangha? So you need to study. Well, luckily, as I said, there are many good books. So read them. I explained a little bit earlier. I have explained them comparing to a doctor or nurse, medicine, you remember? I already explained. So if you see, there's a big problem. If you clearly see the suffering, then naturally you will develop some wish to get out of this problem, get out of this suffering. Aryadeva in his 400 verses gives a very pertinent example. He says, if you are not discouraged, or rather disgusted with the present way of life or samsara, you will never be able to develop this wish to achieve liberation in nirvana. And he gives example by saying that if you are somebody who is not so happy with the place or the family where you are living right now, you have a lot of problems in that place, a lot of problem in that family, then what will you do? You will think about we'll go to America, let us go to Europe, like you are doing right now. Because you have this fear of being suffering. So they look for some other place of safety and security, right? Right? So similarly, when we clearly dissolve the samsara, it's only then we'll aspire to the state of nirvana or Buddhahood. So therefore it is really important to clearly see. The truth will tell you whether you are okay or not. Very soon you are going to die. With regard to that, I was saying there are many people who remember their past lives. So yes, I was saying that those people who remember their past lives were when the child is about 4 or 5 years old. 4 or 5 years old. You know, smaller than that, the child may have some remembrance of past life, but they will not be able to talk about it. You see, when you are about this age, then you who very clearly recognize their life. Like in the Tibetan society, there are a number of people, but it's not only in the Tibetan society or in Asia, because earlier when people did this research on reincarnation, they did it primarily in India, Sri Lanka, because they thought that this is just a belief system. So many people were found who remembered their past life. Then they shifted to Europe and America because they don't believe much about future lives. So they thought there may be less people, but they found almost similar number of people remembering their past lives there also. So I'll tell you a few stories actually happened. Many number of years back, one Indian girl, in India there are many cases. And you can actually listen to some of these actual stories if you again, if you have a smart TV, go there, or online, you can see all these things. On your mobile phone also you can see this. So there was a young little girl born in Punjab. She remembered her past life and she was able to speak and things like that. She said, I want to go home. I want to go home. Every day she was saying, I want to go home. I want to go home. Then the present parents, they said, where is your home? They said, come, I'll show you. And she, from one alley to another alley, from one street to another street, she was perfectly aware of the route. And she took them to her previous life's parents. Then she identified the objects and many things that she used to use, everything. And they were convinced that this is child. Then they came to see his holiness also, these people. Then one Tibetan who was a professor, teacher in the Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies in Sarnath, very nice elderly teacher. So when he passed away, his reincarnation remembered everything. He went back to the monastery. Then he said, my room is there. Went to the room. Then he said, my glass should be somewhere here, eyeglass. It was there. So there are many cases like this. Now here, the point is, if there is no past and future lives, how can they remember? If there's, more importantly, if there is no mind, because as we say today, the scientists say that thinking is all done by the brain. But when you die, the brain and the whole body is destroyed, right? So what is it that makes them remember this? So these are like very interesting research areas which you should think more. Then also the another examples are, in order to have this thing called mind, you don't have to have a sophisticated brain. Because we judge everything based on our physical state. We have a big brain. But look at the mosquito. Mosquito has the mosquito a big brain? Huh? I don't think so. But as far as, biting, mosquito is very good with this almost like hair-like thing. Very good in taking out blood, And then mosquito is, again, quite big. There are many small, tiny bugs or whatever, sometimes the water that you are drinking, because you are naked, I can't see anything, you thought this is bug-free, insect-free, virus-free water. But if you look at it with a big microscope, powerful microscope, you will see there small red bugs and things, insects moving there. Do they have brain now? So if you can go to such a small state of sentient beings, it can be smaller. It can be even smaller. So therefore in Buddhism we talk about three realms. Form realm, where there is form, body. Then formless realm, where there is no physical form. Spirits, as we say, world of the spirit, as we say. They don't have a physical body. We do talk about spirit in all religions, right? So I don't know, other religions believe in a spirit without physical body form. Sometimes, I don't know, I'm not saying what I'm saying is completely correct. I'm just throwing these topics in front of you so that you can analyze. Sometimes if you break a very strong stone rock, not the porous ones, but really hard, solid rocks, where you hardly see any possibility for any insects, anything to go inside, right? But when you break it, sometimes in the center or somewhere, amidst this really hard rock, you will find some sentient beings. Not only some sentient beings, but alive. How do they go there? One possible thing, according to Buddhist teaching, is when we die, then in the next 49 days, you look for your rebirth. Then you are just like a spirit. And that duration, when you die, before you take the next rebirth, that duration is, we call it intermediary state being. So during this intermediary state being, you don't have this gross physical body. You have very subtle senses, subtle physical body, and you are almost like you can go through the walls. Nothing can obstruct you. But sometimes if the lifespan, your lifespan, if your lifespan comes to an end when you are going through the wall, you may be born there in the center of the wall, the center of the rock. So there are many possibilities like that. So the point that I'm making is, if there's no future life, then it's okay, enjoy this life. Do any stupid thing that you want to do, right? It's interesting, the more you talk, the more it becomes interesting. It's not only future life, but when you talk about having a happy life, do you think about happy life both in the day and also in the night, or you think only about the day? Huh? Here also, I think we primarily think about the day. So when you think about happiness of the life, you think about the day and think about the night, right? Now, if you care about happy night, then the day you live has to be nice. Otherwise, you'll get nightmare. That's what I'm saying. This is like life and death, very similar, life and death. If in the day you fight with somebody, kill somebody, whatever, then you can't have a peaceful sleep. So similarly, in our human life, when we do something negative, something destructive, future life will automatically be not good. So these are, I'm trying to give some examples, give some directions about the possibilities, but you need to spend more time. Okay, so you need to have this sense of fear to the samsara and have unflinching faith to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Don't take refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And the Buddha also gave teachings, different types of teachings, because among his followers, or even otherwise, there are so many people having different mental inclinations, mental dispositions, and interests. He cannot just give one teaching, right? So therefore, he gave many different types of teachings: the interpretative teaching, ultimate teaching. So basically, there are two main teachings: interpretative teaching and definitive teaching. Interpretative teachings are those teachings that the Buddha gave in a skillful means to people who will not be able to understand the definitive teaching right now. So for the time being, you have to deal with this interpretative teaching. As I said earlier, you can't teach the PhD subjects to kindergarten going students. The only thing you can do right now is teach ABCD, gradually the PhD subjects. There's a story of Ajatashatru. At the time of the Buddha, there was a king, Ajatashatru. He actually killed his father, who was also a king. And because he had killed his father, he was full of regret later on. He was very sad and he got completely depressed. Nobody was able to help. Then somebody said, you go to Buddha, he might be able to help you. Then he goes to Buddha and he confesses what he has done. Then the Buddha said, no need to worry, no need to worry. Father and mother are to be killed. Don't worry, father and mother are to be killed. Because he was trusting Buddha. So when Buddha said father and mother are to be killed, then he said, what I did was not so horrible. He came back to his senses, came out of his depression. When he was back in his senses and he was out of depression, then the Buddha said, listen, when I said father and mother to be killed, I'm not talking about the physical father and mother. I'm talking about ignorance and contaminated action as the parents, as father and mother, which produces all other negative emotions. So if you kill and destroy ignorance and the negative actions that you do, then you will purify yourself. So these are like skillful ways, very skillful ways. Okay, so skillful ways. And related to this, we can, as I think briefly discussed earlier, in today's world also we have many religions. Which religion is best? It's up to you. whatever you choose carefully. Right? Just for this life, probably you don't need a religion. What you need is to become a good human being. Right? If at all, if you think you need a religion, then choose carefully. Even if you, for example, even if you follow some other religion, then gradually you get attracted to another religion like Buddhism. Then you follow Buddhism and leave all the old religion. Even in that case, never say any bad thing to the old religion to justify your change. People have this tendency, whatever you think, whatever you do, you think you try to glorify it. So in order to justify your change of religion, you might start backbiting and saying bad things to the other religion. Look, Christianity, it's benefiting millions of people. Judaism also millions of people. Islam also millions of people. You see. So the religions are benefiting. That people who follow religion, they make a mess of everything. Who don't follow their religion properly, then use religion for their personal gain. They don't follow religion, they don't practice, but they use religion for their personal gain, for political mileage or for some other purpose. Then they fight, you see. So that is the problem. So then he says, okay, let us don't talk much. Which religion you should follow? What should be your conduct? With whom you make friendship? Which place you should stay? What should be my way of life? I mean, whatever you do, so long as you don't have the motivation, proper motivation, you are simply wandering inside the samsara. So therefore, what you really need to do is that if you really don't remove the negative emotions, you will die, born, die, born, die, born, die, born. Every time you die, every time you born, you have a parent, right? So that's why we say all sentient beings are your parents, relatives, and so forth. So all these people, all these sentient beings around have acted as your parents or relatives, friends, brothers, whatever, right? But today, look at these parents. They are engaging excessively in negative emotions. And the result definitely will be to be born in one of the three negative migrations: animals, hungry ghost, hell being, where there is intolerable suffering and problems. They are doing this, they are obsessed with negative emotions because they don't know anything better. Somebody really said this very nicely. Do we all want happiness? Yes. Do we all want long-lasting happiness? Yes. So everybody is saying, I want happiness, but they're not doing anything to get that happiness. Why? The answer is because they don't know anything better than what they're already doing. So therefore, we need to know something better today in order to get that happiness. So therefore, education, study. That's why His Holiness the Dalai Lama repeatedly tells people, study, reflect, think, use your brain. So therefore, comparatively, today I know a little bit more than many of these people. So it is my responsibility to help them. My means all of us who have better idea, as I said, share it, help others. Because you can cheat me, you can cheat other people, but you cannot cheat law of nature. You cannot cheat. You cannot cheat. Like all these terrible leaders who are engaging in killing, murdering right now, they cannot cheat law of nature. After 10, 20 years, they will all die. There's law of nature. You see, there's law of nature. And then after death, where they are going to go? So this law of causality will follow you like your body and your shadow. Like the shadow that follows a bird. The bird, when it lies on the ground, you can easily see the shadow moving together, right? Right? But when the bird flies very high, you don't see the shadow. Because you don't see the shadow, don't think that there is no shadow. Yes, and when it comes down on the earth, ground, the shadow will become bigger and bigger. That's what I've repeatedly seen. So when I was flying in the aeroplane, I was observing that, the more you come down, the more shadow becomes bigger and bigger. So it accompanies you. You cannot cheat the law of nature. Since oneself and others are all same wanting happiness and not wanting suffering, why is it that I care about myself all the time, not about others? Your own personal happiness may be important, but compared to many of these other sentient beings, is insignificant. Number one. Number two, interestingly, the more you think about others, the more you will be the one who receives the benefit. The more you try to be clever and selfish, the more you will suffer. You may be able to cheat some people, get some money, things like that, but at the end of the day, you will be the one who will be cheated, who will suffer. So that's why His Holiness the Dalai Lama always says, if you want to be selfish, be wisely selfish. Be wisely selfish means when you help others, that's a wise way of being selfish. If you cheat others, exploit others, that is a stupid way of being selfish. Right? So for your own personal well-being, long-term well-being also, help others. And His Holiness, I remember he gave an example. If there is a situation where you have to cut either one finger or the other 9 fingers. If there is a choice, you have to cut either one finger or the other 9 fingers. What is your choice? Cut one finger, of course. Cut one finger. Right? So the rest of the sentient beings are like the 9 finger. They are much more, and you're just one finger. And he gave another example saying that if 10 beggars who are equally poor, at all, 10 beggars, very poor, 10 beggars come to you begging, will you make a discrimination? You've never met them, you don't know them, they're not your relative, none of them. You're meeting them for the first time. They're all equally poor. So if you have something to give, will you make a discrimination? Is it good to make a discrimination? Huh? No. You don't know them. You're seeing them for the first time. They're all equally poor. So whatever you have, be fair and honest, distribute everything equally. So that should be our mental attitude towards every other sentient being. Your friends, your so-called your friends today, maybe your sworn enemy in the past lives. So-called your enemy today must have been your dear friends in the past lives. So it's only change of life that you don't recognize them, don't know them. And you are not knowing them, not recognizing them doesn't mean that they are not your relatives, that they are not your friends. So help everybody as much as possible with this understanding. Now look at the suffering, as I was saying, people suffer from war, conflict, then earthquake, tornado, tsunami, pandemic, one after another. There is a lot of problem. And much of this problem is our own doing. Result of our mistreating the animals, polluting the environment. You see? So we need to develop this larger perspective. According to Tibetan medicine, we say our body is made of 4 or 5 elements, right? And the medicine that we eat, the food we eat is also made of 4 or 5 elements. We take food, we take medicine so that the imbalance in our 4 or 5 elements in the body is rectified. But if you are getting this food and medicine from a contaminated, polluted environment, how can you hope to be healed? How can you hope to get your imbalances, elemental imbalances balanced by taking that polluted medicine? You will get polluted medicine because medicine comes from the environment. Environment is polluted. The food we are getting is polluted. So that's why I'm saying we should really have a larger perspective and take care of the whole planet, the whole universe, and people, sentient beings living everywhere. Okay. Do not defame the Dharma. To got this point, do not defame the Dharma. There are so many traditions of Dharma. Aspire that which you like, but that does not mean to say that you should look down upon others who follow different religions. And through the 10 virtues of religious practices, which I've explained, strive to pass a day and a night. Strive to pass a day and a night. And then he also says, I mean, look at our present state. We don't meditate on impermanence. We don't meditate on impermanence, even for a moment. We just get distracted, looking up, looking down, looking before, looking back, which means we remain distracted. Don't meditate on impermanence, meaning when we are going to die, we don't think about these things. And for a big issue where I should be weeping and crying, we don't cry. For small things we cry and weep. When all parents and beings are suffering, we don't cry. When one of so-called your immediate relatives die, you cry. You see? So what he's saying is, when you see one of your relatives die, you cry. If that makes sense, then you cry every day. In fact, every moment. Because every moment somebody is dying in the world. They are all your parents. They are all your relatives on a bigger, larger scale. And even with this one person to whose death you cry only one time when he dies. You cry only one time when he dies, but you don't cry when he's dying every day. I explained this point earlier. Living means living for a moment. After every moment we are changing, basically dying. On a little bit grosser level, scientists say that after every 7 years, your every part of your body, every cell, every molecule, everything that you have undergoes complete change. There is a story of a criminal who heard about this scientific explanation. So for his criminal activity, he was caught and imprisoned for many years. So after 7 years, he said, I'm not that person. Please release me. I'm not the same person. So I don't know whether they released him or not. There's a story like that. So that means from that level, you have actually died. So if you are 70, it means you already died 7 times. Then on a very subtle level, as I said, every moment we die. We should be cognizant of that. So in this way, if you think carefully, have a very good understanding of impermanence, death, uncertainty of experiences in the samsara, then nobody can cheat you. Even if you are surrounded by all the attractive, beautiful women, you will not be attracted. Even if you are surrounded by all the glamorous houses, cars, things like that, you will not be attracted. You see? I've seen how people make cars, They're just bringing these small pieces of iron and fix it, So what is there? But we don't see that, so we think, oh, vehicle, especially BMW or something, it's so nice. We get obsessed with these things because we don't know the reality, the impermanence, the fragility of everything. When you don't know the fragility of those things, you can make big problem. I'll tell you a story. Very nice story. There was this person who was like any of us, very attracted to material things, and especially car. So he wanted to buy a nice car. And in the beginning, like all of us, you have this desire to buy a car, but you don't have money. So the desire will make you work like a donkey to make more money. You will save money. Lot of hard work, you don't get money like that. Lot of hard work. Then after a lot of hard work, you are able to collect that money. Look at how the desire functions. Now you have this desire to buy this particular model of car. Even before you have enough money to buy that car already looks so beautiful. When you do the window shopping, the car already, it has no connection with you at all. You have not bought it. But because you have fancied it, you wanted to have it, it already looks so nice. So you think about it, dream about it, then work very hard and then earn money. Then after a while, you have enough money to buy that car. Then finally you pay the money and get the car. Now it is in your courtyard or in the garage. Then the obsession with the car is even more because it's my car now. This is my car. So the story goes like this. So there was a man who wanted to have this car and struggled and then finally had this car. So after having bought the car, in the first initial few days, I call it honeymoon period. Honeymoon period. You know that honeymoon period. How things continue during the honeymoon period, Many of you seems to be not knowing anything. I'm joking. Honeymoon period is the most important thing. I'm joking. So honeymoon period, first few days, honeymoon period. So during this few days, initial days of honeymoon period, he was extra careful about how to protect the car. He would, put a canvas, on the car, protect it, make sure that it doesn't collect dust and things like that. So he was doing like that. Then this gentleman had a little girl, innocent girl. So this little girl, like any other, innocent girl, she goes to the car and draw something, write something on the car. And the father was crazy, It was his honeymoon period. Then he goes there, what are you doing? He pushes the little girl. And unfortunately, the little girl collapses and dies. Don't cry, don't cry. This is just story. so the little girl dies. And of course, he did not mean to kill her, right? It's only because of his obsession with the car, it happened. So anyway, unfortunately, he had already killed his daughter. So the only thing he can do is to see what the little girl has written on the car. The little girl has written, Papa, I love you. Isn't this a very moving story? Isn't this a very moving story? You see, what I'm saying is, If you get obsessed with things, you can do such damage to your very, very beloved person because of this blindness and obsession with things. You see. So what I was saying was, if you develop very strong conviction regarding the need and the importance of Dharma practice, then nothing can distract you. Beauty, wealth, money, name, fame. I mean, name and fame. So many people are just completely lost in name and fame. The Tibetan teacher says name and fame is really like climbing a branchless, dry, tall tree. Name and fame is like climbing a branchless, tall tree. The higher you climb, the greater is the risk to fall down. Those people who sit down on the ground, don't climb the tree, no risk. But if you run after fame and name, I mean, we all know how Lady Diana died. Very famous, and everybody was chasing. Then he had a car accident. You remember that? So it's like that, you see. And then there are so-called many so-called VIPs. They don't have privacy. You're always surrounded by police and things like that. So the point is, in order to activate you to do serious Dharma practice, you need to know the shortcomings, the faults, and the damage, the destructiveness and the limitation of the samsara, the destructiveness of negative emotion, and the importance of cultivating loving kindness, compassion, the effectiveness of Dharma practice, how this is useful for you, for others, for all sentient beings, for bringing peace, for bringing harmony. So through systematic listening, contemplation, and meditation, when you develop very strong conviction, then nobody can distract you from your practice. I remember one Rinpoche, was a very high reincarnation. He passed away a few years back. In the initial days, after coming into exile, he happened to live in Calcutta, a very crowded place. But he said, the crowd did not bother me at all because I did not go out. I remained in my room. The crowd did not bother me. So it's how you live, how you behave. Then I know another Geshe who lives in Australia, who is still there, very old now. He also said, in Australia or some European countries, he said, many people say, there's a lot of distraction. But he said, there's no distraction. They are very disciplined people. You go and teach and then go back to your home, lock the door and stay there. Nobody comes to you, bother you. You see? So it's really up to you. Up to you. You have to make some decision, proper decision. So don't despise and look down upon any other religion. There may be different ways of doing things. If your actual mental attitude is not mistaken, then it's enough. Dharma practice means your way of thinking and mental outlook should be correct. And also try to do practices in small portions. Small portions mean there are so many topics. For example, the other day we said focus and meditate on compassion, at least for the time being. If you do that, it is easier, and you will also by developing that understanding and practice of compassion, it will be next time much easier to do many other practices. But if you read a little bit here, a little bit there, don't do any practice, don't meditate on anything, then it will be Jack of all, master of none. Okay. So you will not be able to practice too many things. Even in the case of many good practices, if there are too many good practices, you will not be able to make the right choice. You will not be able to choose. Just like, during a banquet, when there's so many good things, you don't know what to take. And then out of greediness, if you put too many things, then you will eat too much, it'll upset your stomach, right? So he says, so almost like a parting advice is, remember this, remember this. As a parting advice, Atisha tells in Domtomba, remember this, give up yourself, take others, receive others, take care of others, enter into the tent of light, watch the appearance, destroy the foundation, look at the emptiness of identity, that when you search things, you don't find anything. Are you able to practice this? Are you able to use this on the path? And if you're able to do that, then you have prepared a very fertile ground, and whatever you sow will grow. Whatever you sow will grow. Which basically means if you have a very good mind, everything will come to you, you will be successful. If you make repeated practice, make effort, persevere in your spiritual practice, there will be no obstruction and hindrances. If you know what to adopt and what to discard, you are a learned person. You will definitely go to the state of liberation. So therefore, instead of defaming and saying bad things about other religious traditions, you should practice the one that is profound and useful for you. So this completes chapter 20. So we have only 3 more chapters, which I can easily finish tomorrow. Some questions now? Yes.
Talked about meditation. You can practice religious methods.
Yeah.
And question: do you have to use prayer? Do you have to use prayer?
Prayer also.
In meditation to get enlightened?
Yeah. Prayer is like the rain that we use to control the horse. If you use that rain, that you use on the horse, then with the help of that rain, you can take the horse into whichever direction you want. So prayer means expressing aspiration, your wish. All right? So when you have this aspiration, that wish, it is definitely will go into that direction. So prayer is necessary.
You must add the religious part of the meditation to get enlightened. If you meditate on principles, goals.
Yeah, as I said other day, in the beginning, just for achieving concentration, you can meditate on anything. It doesn't have to be a religious subject or religious object. But gradually, then of course you have to bring it into the religious practice. Right? Because just by meditating, concentrating on flower, you will never get enlightened. Your concentration on flower may be very strong, unwavering, but just by meditating on flower or even your breath, you will not get enlightened. Enlightenment means removing the negative emotions and reaching the positive emotions. So the focus has to be gradually shifted to removing the negative emotions and cultivating the positive emotions. So it is through this process of purification that you get purer, and then gradually enlightened. Yeah.
So in Theravada tradition, they talk a lot about satipanas and strangers. I'm just curious, what does the Tibetan tradition have to say about that? And is change possible after that stage?
Yeah, the Satipatthana, I think it's mindfulness practice, right?
The Satipana, stream enter.
Stream enter, okay. Yeah. stream enterer, one-time returner, non-returner. So that is talking about when you are on the way and about to achieve the third path, which is called the path of seeing. So before that, among the sanghas, the practitioners, there are different people, you know. It's just like the example is just like when you cross the river, you know, some may be able to cross it, some may not be able to cross it. They go up and come back, things like that. So similarly, among the practitioners also, there are different people. So there's a little bit complex. That comes in a topic called 20 sanghas. There is a topic called 20 sanghas, 20 monastic communities, 20 sanghas. Gindu. Yeah. When you discuss in detail about Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, then when you study the topic Sangha, there's a large topic called the 20 sanghas. Okay, so this is very complex. Yeah. Yeah. How do you meditate on emptiness? As we already discussed, take one particular object, say a human being, then analyze that person, this human being called Joseph or whatever. Where is Joseph? Try to find Joseph from the top of his head down to the sole of it. Separate the parts of the body. Look within, wherever you don't find anything called Joseph. So thereby, when you search in this way, you are not able to find anything, right? So not finding anything doesn't mean Joseph doesn't exist. But not finding anything means things don't exist independently. Therefore, through this search, when you're unable to find anything, you come to a state of almost like vacuity or voidness. Just meditate on that. There's emptiness.
You get rid of the negative emotions and you cultivate positive emotions.
Yeah.
After you reach a point where you don't have any negative emotions and only positive emotions,
Yeah.
are you also getting rid of the positive emotions?
No, positive emotions, it depends. Positive emotions also, among positive emotions, there are contaminated positive emotions, polluted positive emotions. Like we ordinary people do a lot of positive things also, but it is a little bit alloyed with negative emotions, selfishness, things like that, you know. So they are contaminated. So those contaminated things also has to be, in the long run, removed. You need to cultivate positive emotions which are completely pure, uncontaminated. Okay? Yeah. There must be some here in the back, yeah. Yeah. How many questions? 3. Okay. Just one question first. Yeah.
So I'm curious to know how that in Buddhism addresses topics like homosexuality, transgender people, and gender fluidity.
Yeah. They're all human beings, like all of us. Even among those people who don't engage in homosexuality or who are not transgenders, they also have different kind of emotions, just like these people. So don't discriminate. Treat all of them as same. Right? Now your question is homosexuality, proper, improper. The other day when I was explaining sexual misconduct, I said you should not engage sex in wrong, other parts of the body. So from that way it is wrong. Then also, purpose of sex is, generally speaking, purpose of sex is for reproduction. So that way, probably not so natural. Having said that, if two people agree and there's no violence, who can stop them? I think it's okay, tolerable. So long as two people agree, no violence, no mistreatment. Although it doesn't save the, reproduction, it's okay. I've met many of them who also almost like as if they have produced their children, they adopt children, look after them. It's interesting, very interesting. How a different biological system functions, so many different needs, Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I can imagine that when we go back, friends might ask us, hey, can you tell us a bit about the or maybe post-quantum communication? Is it okay if we try to do that? Yes, we need advice.
Huh? Speak a little bit louder. I'm becoming deaf, I need to drink water.
So when we go back home, I can imagine a lot of people may ask us, hey, can you tell us a bit about what you learned? So meditations, and I want to ask if it's okay to do that. And yes, so that give any advice on how to do that.
How to?
How to teach well or show that.
But teach well, you already heard some. You have some foundation. And take one or two books and then just guide them. And although you can say I'm not a meditation master, but I'm sharing what I heard from the teachers, what I know. But if you want to do more serious meditation, then go to this place, that place, Yeah.
To begin a question, one, if I start to, I'm a practitioner, beginner, and I still haven't found the complete compassion for someone angry, made me angry. That's on the street. So I want to practice compassion, but I still haven't got it in focus. And
Yeah, all of us have.
should I suppress my anger?
No, don't suppress your anger. No, we are all same. As I said, there is no push button enlightenment. We don't become perfect in 1 day, 2 days. No. As a beginner, the fact that getting angry is bad is a very good start. Because most of people don't even know anger is bad. They think this is, even the science, as I said, all emotions are necessary. Right? So therefore, to have this understanding that these negative emotions are negative is a very good start. Then of course, when you actually confront unexpected, especially unexpected situations, on the spot you get angry because this is what you are habituated, your die-hard habit comes out. It happens. But then after that you think, oh, again, I could not control. Next time I will try to smile a little bit, things like that. Right from the beginning, you make a motivation to not get angry. Things like that. So in this way, gradually, it will become your habit to be able to control, not just suppress it. It's okay to express anger. Okay. But it is okay to express anger, but it is not okay to maintain hatred. It is not okay to maintain ill will, to keep it in the mind, I will see him if I next time meet him in the corner, That is not only bad for other people, that's really bad for you. It probably may produce cancer also. It's a big disease, holding negative emotion inside, Don't do that. Don't do that.
The second one, is there a wrong way to meditate? I mean, is there a way that my mind can fool me thinking that I'm meditating well, concentrating, but actually I'm just doing it wrong and maybe.
Or to start with, the most important thing is whether you are really lessening your negative emotions or not. If you're lessening your anger or not, lessening your attachment or not. These are more important than just to see whether I was able to sit quiet or not. That's not important here. You know this animal owl, great meditator. He's always sitting like this. But not meditating to remove the negative emotions. So sitting just like quiet is maybe good, it's not disturbing anybody, but the purpose of practice, to make a long story short, the purpose of spiritual Buddhist practice is to fight with the enemy, the negative emotions, anger, jealousy, hatred, which is destroying your peace, which is destroying the peace of the family, which is bringing conflict in the world. We all know this, you see. So you need to trample, and destroy, and lessen the intensity of this negative emotions. If you are doing that, you are quite successful. If you are not doing that, I'll tell you a story, very interesting story again. That is, I think, found in the sutra. At the time of the Buddha, it was the time of the Buddha, there was a very great Indian meditator by the name Udarak. You know, in ancient texts, sometimes you find a lot of exaggeration. So here also it looks there some exaggeration, maybe. But it is said that his one-pointed meditation was so strong that he could sit there in the cave, not for one day, not for a few hours, for months, oblivious of everything around him. So much so that his hairs grew long, touches the ground, still oblivious. And unfortunately, the cave in which he was meditating was infested with rats. So the rats chopped off the ends of the hair, still oblivious. But finally, when he gets up from that one point in meditation, and when he sees the ends of his hairs has been chopped off, he get mad, he get angry. You see, that's what I'm saying. Just one point in meditation is not the solution. Because you have not used this analytical meditation to deal with the negative emotions. Right? And one-pointed meditation is good, but in a sense, it is also limiting. You're focusing only one object. Right? So therefore, you need to have this larger consciousness of analytical meditation, of awareness, what is happening around you, what is good, what is bad. So the focus of Buddhist practice is, as we say, morality, one-pointed meditation, and wisdom. These three are important. Again, these are three important because these are the three tools by which you can deal effectively with the negative emotions. Because of that. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You said before that conscious can go through walls, but it can maybe be reborn as a wall if it gets stuck in the process. So I was wondering, how does it work when if someone is reborn as a wall, how can you repay and do good karma to be reborn as a person outside?
If he's born and stuck there,
Yeah.
then
You said that
yeah, he is born and stuck there, not forever.
yeah, until the next one.
Yeah, then he dies there and takes consciousness goes on.
But then how, as a wall or as a matter, how can a conscience do good karma?
No. That sentient being got stuck there has consciousness and body also. The body, when it dies, the body will remain there as a fossil or something. But the consciousness, nobody can stop consciousness. The consciousness starts traveling. All the walls or stones or rocks cannot stop it, so it will take rebirth. Okay? Yeah. Yeah.
How do you make compassion like a nice? Sometimes you get sad, like if you see a dying dog.
Yeah.
I can.
There is a saying which says, when the sentient beings are afflicted by suffering, when the sentient beings are afflicted due to karma, Ananda, do not feel sorry, do not feel sad. That's not saying that you don't show concern, but it's saying your feeling sad is not of help unless you do something, you see. So therefore, I think the other day I mentioned the difference, the difference in between the kind of suffering that you get when you develop compassion to others and the sufferings that you get due to afflictive emotions. When you develop some kind of suffering due to negative emotions, then that suffering is real suffering. It will shake you completely. It will move you completely. But when you develop compassion to others, see the suffering to others, you also develop some kind of suffering, because suffering, I don't know, but some kind of suffering. You get this feeling of uneasiness, uneasiness. Oh, how sad. You get uneasiness, you show this concern. But that uneasiness and concern, or if you want to call it suffering, that suffering is not from the very foundation. That suffering is just like the waves on the ocean. You see waves on the ocean, but the deep down the ocean is not perturbed. It is calm, it is still. You see? So you can see this difference between this kind of uneasiness that you develop when you develop compassion, because when you develop compassion, it is based on reason, it is based on knowledge, it is systematic, it is logical. So it will not disturb you completely. It will not make you confused. But when you develop negative suffering through negative emotions, you are completely carried away. Completely overwhelmed. Yes.
I want to ask something about envy, in the life. All of us in our stuff. So it's hard to not be angry. If something makes me angry, I will be angry. So I don't want it to still be in my feelings and from this, like you said, it's not good. So in the start, what I need to do with this? I get angry about something or jealous about something, and what can I do with it?
So in the beginning, if possible, try to avoid that person, that place in whose contact you get angry or jealous or unhappy. Try to distance yourself from that person, from that object. That's one reason, one way. Then another way is, and occasionally if you get angry, somehow you have to confront that person. Try your best not to get angry, because important thing is not you are getting angry. The important thing is why you are getting angry. What you want to solve. What you want to say to that person. If there is a matter to be solved, then it's 100%, almost 100% sure your anger will not help solving it. I mean, so what I'm saying is, instead of anger, you can be tough. That's what people need to know. People think that in order to be tough, you have to get angry. No. You can act as if you're really angry. Deep down, no hatred, no enmity. But you can say, some politicians, others who are really very good in these things, because they always have to do. They say, inside they are like a little bit unhappy, but they carry a smile on the face. Yeah, I got your point, but they are very tough. So be tough. Because if you get angry, then you're becoming mad. If you become mad, then it's not sure what you will end up saying. what you will end up doing. I mean, it's not easy, but try, and gradually it will happen. Yeah. Okay.
Today, when you're practicing meditation, some people feel angry or jealous of you.
Me? Jealous? I don't think so. To whom I should get jealous? Because all the beautiful clothes you wear, I don't need. A long time back, I have just used to shaving this hair, so I'm not jealous of the beautiful hairs around. You know, it's kind of habit that you pick up. You know, anger, yes, sometimes frustration, anger, of course, comes, but then it doesn't last long. Short-term frustration, anger, then I try to meet that person immediately, talk to him, invite him for a cup of tea, and discuss the matter. You know, actually, honestly speaking, you know, among human beings, there's really not a big issue to be so frustrated, so angry about. You know. There's nothing. And another very important thing is, I'm not at all implying I'm a great practitioner at all. Don't misunderstand. I don't want to give you that impression. But what I'm saying is, if you don't aspire too much for wealth, don't aspire for name and fame, many of these problems will disappear. You see, I'm not saying I'm a great practitioner, but you can get used to these things. Like in my case, I said I'm not a great practitioner, but I was born and brought up in such a way that right at the time when I was a young boy, we had to leave our country because of the Chinese invasion. I was born in Tibet. I was a little baby, you know. I escaped. So then, of course, for some years we have to live in Nepal around the begging, you know, begging for food. That's our situation. And then we came to India. Our parents were road constructors. Then we small children are just left by the side of the road, as you see some of the beggars today, exactly like that, you see. So I used to be that situation, that circumstance. Then I was sent into school. In school, you get that basic food, basic facilities. As a refugee school, you don't have very luxurious things to enjoy. You are used to it that. So I studied for many years, finished my 11th class in Dalhousie. Then I joined Institute of Buddhist Dialectics here. I became a monk before that, but I joined Institute of Buddhist Dialectics school. That is also a school where you have, you know, basic facilities. You are used with that. So, you know, I don't have a home. School. Then after that, after studying 13 years in the Institute of Buddhist Dialectics, I went to work in Tibet House, New Delhi. I worked there 2.5 years. My salary was salary. Then I started earning, see. My salary at that time was 600 Indian rupees a month. 600 Indian rupees. But of course, at that time, right? Then I came to His Holiness office. Then my initial salary was 800 rupees. Then like that. Now in the library, I get much more. But what I'm saying is, so here also in the office of His Holiness, in Tibet House, in the library, we get accommodation from the institution. So I live there. Now my age is about to retire. So honestly speaking, I have no particular home to go. But I'm not worried about it. You see, if you can get used to these things. So when you are satisfied with these small things, there's no need for you to fight with anybody. If you fight, you are fighting for the institution. That is okay. For my personal things, I don't have to fight with anybody. Because I don't have to do anything with anybody. I don't need anything from anybody. Right? I'm not jealous of anybody. But for the institute, because I'm director at the library, then of course I have to deal with the staffs. You know, I have to deal with many people. So sometimes, you know, you might get a little bit frustrated. Not always, sometimes, very rare. So that's it. It's a question of getting used to things. And main reason for fighting is for power, for name. The more you run after money, the more you run after wealth, the more you run after name and fame, then you are in trouble. Okay, yeah.
What do monks do when they retire?
Then they go into Himalaya. No, it depends, you know, from where, like in the big monasteries, they've got good system, you know. When the monks retire, it's very difficult. They don't have, probably many of them don't have a family. So the many monasteries, they have, you know, home for aged people, home for seniors. They put there. Very good system. But if you're a monk like me, going everywhere, living alone, then you may not. But I also have monastery. I can go there also if I like. But that may not sound very good because when I'm active, I did not stay in the monastery. Then suddenly, if I'm in need, I go there. Of course, I don't want to do that easily. But otherwise, you can go. You can go. Yeah.
You can write your book, Geshe.
Huh?
When you retire, you can write your book.
How can I write a book when I can't see, when I can't hear anything? I'm joking. Yeah. No. Just I'm not worried about that. Yeah. What was yeah?
Can you please explain the meaning of offerings?
Offering. Offering is basically giving to a higher object. Offering. I mean, the English word offer means giving. You know.
Why do you do?
Why do you do? Because you offer or you give things to people who have been kind to you.
Into the Buddha?
People, of course, the people who have been kind to you in terms of like your parents are kind to you. So you give to them, repay their kindness. And then those people like Buddha, His Holiness Dalai Lama, your teacher, other things, who have been kind to you by guiding you, giving you all these teachings. So as a mark of respect and expression of gratitude, you give things. Okay? Yeah.
When I was visiting the monasteries in Ladakh and
Yeah.
also here,
Yeah.
I saw some images and statues involving male female deities.
Yeah.
in Tibet.
Yeah.
So I was wondering the role of this image, I believe they are called tantric,
Yeah.
in Buddhist practice,
Yeah.
and are they to be taken symbolically? I'm sure, but do they have a practice like finding unconditional love through physical pleasure? So what does this usually mean exactly in this culture?
Yeah, many people misunderstand tantric teachings, and some people even call it sexology. Because you see all these tantric deities, male and female deities in union, male deities having a consort, you know. In all the higher tantric teachings, you have all these images in Kalachakra, in Guha Samaja, in Yamantaka, you see all these deities. They're of course symbolic. They're symbolic. Because it basically symbolizes the unity of emptiness and bliss, mental bliss. You know, through visualization, you develop a special mental bliss. Very clear. Bliss means very happy, very happy. When you're very happy, your mind is very clear. So through visualization, you develop this very, very blissful, penetrative mind and use this mind to realize emptiness. So basically symbolizing this. Okay. Then, of course, in ancient times, there were highly realized tantric practitioners who actually live with women to reach such. It's not just unconditional love, not just that, but in order to, bring the fluid down. Just as when you do sex, you experience certain pleasure. So like that, you can bring the fluid down and experience. The purpose is not to have sex. The purpose is to produce that bliss. And then they don't allow emission to take place. If an ordinary person, immediately you will have the emission, you see. But there are practices where you let it come down, experience the bliss, and then bring back again to experience the bliss. And then develop this very subtle blissful consciousness to realize shunyata. So that's very symbolic, very symbolic. But it's a risky thing. If you think you're a tantric practitioner and then sleep with all men and women, all you will get is many children, nothing else. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you. Because
Is it true that Buddha refused to initiate women?
not refused, but he was requested by his attendant, Ananda, saying that you can't do this, then Buddha. There are a lot of things like that. Yeah, there are some issues like that. But if you read the Kala Chakra Tantra, the latest Tantra, there it says one of the vows, among the list of vows that you need to practice after receiving the Tantric initiation. So in the vows, it says if you say bad things to a woman, it is an infraction. Infraction, violation of your vow. The same thing is never said about man. So it looks like that, you see, as I said in the beginning, all these religions are made by man. Then at the time of the Buddha also, there are a lot of cultural influences. Maybe a little bit looking down on women, or maybe not giving the equal right. Things were there. So things like that happened. But when you read this latest Tantra, like Kalachara Tantra, as I said, he specifically made it a point not to look down on women, not to say bad things against women. So it looks like, he was trying to modify perhaps some of the things that happened earlier, probably. I don't know. Yeah. There was one or two. Yeah, please, yeah.
Can you please talk about this past life regression that
Past life regression.
some cases came through, and what is the purpose of the library, and can we really solve
I don't know.
any past life suffering?
I don't know, because I simply mentioned that these people, so-called psychotherapists, they do this past life regression. And they say that it's very healing. When you talk about what happened to you and then you relate it, then it is found to be very healing. They say things like that, but I don't know. Okay, I stop here today. If you please reserve the question for tomorrow. I have to see a group at the library. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. So you just